Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am showing you how to make your very own lace wig with a closure, and I'm showing you how to do it using old or recycled hair. So of course you're going to need a wig form of some sort. I'm using a canvas wig form that I got from Amazon.com. I will have that listed down in the description box below. I'm also going to be using this spandex dome cap. This was my first love when it comes to making wigs, but you could also use the one that has the netting on it, or even the one that has a little guy on the front, just as long as it's made, you know, to fit the head nice and flat and not like a do-rag or anything like that. So now you just see me pinning down this dome cap to the head. This is just so that it doesn't go anywhere, because I'm going to go ahead and get started with sewing down the closure. Now all the hair used in this video I will have listed down in the description box below. But this is a 4x4 closure, and when you guys are holding up a closure, you can tell that the flat side is actually supposed to be the front, and the sides that are curved are actually supposed to serve as the sides. So this hair was originally used for a sew-in, and the stylist who put it in did not install it correctly. So he ended up actually cutting off the side rather than the front, but you know, hey, not everyone knows how to work with closures and frontals. So you just see me now pinning down the front of this closure so that it doesn't move. And I'm just going to go ahead and put all the hair up in a ponytail, because that is going to make it so much easier for us to sew this thing down. And also using a couple of pins as well. So starting on either side of the closure, you're just going to take your needle and thread and pull it nice and taut. Not too tight where you create like lumps in your closure. That's the last thing you want. You definitely want this to lay nice and flat, because remember, when it goes on your head, you want it to lay nice and flat. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew down this side of the closure. And once I get to the end of this side, I'm actually going to stop. And I'm going to move on to the other side and sew this side nice and taut as well. Now once I sew this entire side down, I'm actually going to carry the stitch all the way around to meet the end of the other side. And then of course I'm going to go ahead and secure and cut the thread. So once the closure is sewn down nice and securely, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the bundles. Like I said, this hair was used for a full install. Now in the beginning she did have 3 bundles, but I only think that this right here is about 2 and maybe a half, probably two bundles. And the bottoms were pre-cut by the stylist when he sewed them into her head. He went ahead and layered them. So we're going to try to the best of our ability to get them in the same layered pattern, but that doesn't always work when you're reinstalling a previous install. So sometimes you might need to cut it or trim the ends. So starting at the nape of the head, pretty much where behind the ear, like right behind the ear, I'm just going to go ahead and sew this first track down as close as possible to the edge of the bottom of the wig cap. And just as you would a normal sew-in, just go ahead and stitch this hair to the cap. Now you want to be careful when you are sewing this down. You want to sew through the fabric and not the actual spandex strap that's inside the cap. And I'm going to take this track all the way up to where the other ear would begin, the back of the other ear. And once I get to the edge, I'm going to go ahead and flip the track over and sew it back the exact same way that we just came. And you guys will see what I'm talking about. So here I'm just going to flip it, pin it, and start sewing. Now spacing just really depends on how many bundles you have. I would have liked to do, normally I like to do wigs with 2 to 3 full bundles. Since this was the install, I think it was like a pretty natural install, so I believe she only used 2 bundles for this. So I mean, you can space it out a little bit. If you're trying to fit 3 or 4 bundles on a wig, you will definitely have to sew the hair a lot closer. But if you're only working with, like, you know, 2 bundles, or you're only going to use like 2.5, then you definitely want to leave a little bit of space. So really, I guess it all just depends on how natural you want the wig to look. So I literally just did the same exact thing all the way around the head. And now that I'm closer to the closure, I'm going to show you guys what I do up here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off this excess lace around the sides of the closure. And I just do that because just in case, you know, the wind blows or you lay the wrong way, or, you know, whatever. I don't want people seeing that extra lace, you know, that's not really part of a closure under your tracks. It doesn't look very nice. So now I'm just doing pretty much the same technique, folding the wefts over at the corner and just continuing to sew around. Basically, at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and frame the wefts to fit around the closure. So now when you get to the last few tracks right around the closure, you want to sew as close as you can to that closure. You really want the transition from closure to tracks to be very seamless, so that way it looks as if, you know, the parting is super natural. If you leave too much space, it's, you know, people might be able to see it, especially if the wind blows the wrong way, you know. And if, you know, if you sew onto the closure, like onto the actual closure, your parting is not going to be able to lay as flat as possible. So it is really important when sewing around your closure just to get it literally as close as possible without like running over the border of the actual closure. So once everything is sewn down, you can go ahead and take down your closure and find your parting. And I'm just gonna go ahead and style this wig, which you guys already know how to do because I did a video about it. Before I style it though, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the excess cap from under the closure piece, and that should be so easy to cut out because we just kind of sewn around that. So once you cut that, there you go, and your wig is pretty much complete. You can definitely go ahead and add some straps, which I totally recommend, or some clips to the wig. Here I'm just going to show you guys the parting a little bit. This wig was custom dyed black. This hair was actually custom dyed black. Of course the closure was already customized, and I'm going ahead and creating my parting for the wig, which you guys already know how to do because I made a video on it, and I will link that video up above. And this is the wig completed. This wig was actually from my cousin, and she really liked it. It was so hard to transition her over from sew-ins to wigs, but I think after the sew-in that she got, having the hair made into a wig and seeing how natural it looks on her really made a big difference. And she sold. She definitely loves her wig. I hope you guys like this video. I hope it was very informative for you. If you guys try it, definitely tag me in your beautiful pictures. Hit me up. Let me know how this works out for you. And if you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave it down below. Thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, bye.